All right, good morning, everyone. I'm Sammy Fabbro. I work in marketing and growth at Event Temple, a hotel sales and CRM software company. Before then, I worked as a director of sales and marketing for the Sands Group in Vancouver, BC. I was there for 5 years. We had a diverse portfolio, including a hotel, golf course, brewery, and bowling alley. I'm here with Greg Johnson. Greg was most recently the Vice President of Sales and Marketing for Newport Hospitality Group. He started his hospitality career in full and select hotels in Idaho and Utah. He then moved to Memphis as the Global Director of Sales and Revenue Management training for Hilton Worldwide, where he was responsible for maintaining all sales and revenue management courses for all Hilton brands. Next, at White Lodging Services, Greg managed the sales for 35 properties in the company's portfolio, consisting of Hilton, Marriott, Starwood, and Hyatt brands across the United States. In addition to having the best career around, Greg is a distinguished public speaker, an MC, a clogger, yes, the dance, a bow tie aficionado, a husband, and father of 3. Welcome, Greg. That's quite the resume you have. How are you doing today?
I'm doing really well. Oh, am I muted? Am I good?
No, you're not muted. You're good. Perfect. You're ready to go.
No, it's amazing. Sales is amazing. Love sales, and that's where I've pretty much lived my entire career.
Yeah, no, it looks like it. So we're here today to discuss sales and prospecting in a COVID world. We will take questions at the end of our discussion. It'll probably take about 30 minutes with 15 minutes for a Q&A. As we all know, COVID has caused unprecedented economic damage to the hospitality industry. Hoteliers began by jumping into complete crisis mode. We saw mass layoffs, we saw cancellations, businesses shut down. But we're slowly starting to see the markets reopen across the globe. And while there are still some restrictions and potential closures with a lot of unpredictability right now, we still have to be able to navigate in this new world. And everything has gotten a little bit trickier, especially when it comes to hospitality sales. So Greg, to start off, what can our sales professionals do now to start generating business?
Well, all in all, sales is sales. So like you said, we have to navigate through it, and it sometimes gets a little bit trickier. But that's when we kick in, and the truly amazing salespeople, they get creative. And when you're challenged and you get creative, amazing things happen. So I'm hearing all sorts of different ideas on how to be in front of customers, and we'll get to that, kind of building your pipeline. But the first thing with sales, and the reason I love sales, is you're on the front line of connecting with your customers. So in between groups, gathering up your corporate contacts, even your national contacts with your brand, everybody. You're the cheerleader of the hotel. And a lot of the directors and sales and GMs have been the hotel. And as we crawl out of, it seems like this mud or tar, I mean, it's slower than we ever thought it would be. We're able to hire back some. And the reason is it starts with sales. So as we get people back in, we're able to bring in housekeeper. And that's truly a motivating factor for a lot of the DOSs I've talked to. Is it's almost a rejoicing when you're able to bring back a housekeeper, a maintenance person, because then you're employing people, you're getting customers to come in, and that. So that's kind of the drive. And even in this, it's all about connection. So connecting with everybody that you've been, in contact with, doing business with. They might not be traveling at all. They might have had massive layoffs. Call them, talk to them. Even if they get laid off, everybody needs a friend when you get laid off. I got laid off. It's just cathartic to have people reach out, even though you might be in a different place. But keep track of that too, because the converse of that is if a salesperson contacts you to try to sell you something and didn't kind of do their homework, and you're kind of in this in-between limbo of COVIDness, and it's a little weird to field these sales calls when you're in a different spot career-wise. So, do your homework that way too. So connect regularly. Your sales platform, whether it be Sales Pro, Event Temple, it's key to keep all of that information in there. But the first step is always just the continual connection, no matter what's happening. You're at 15% occupancy, connect. You're at 90% occupancy, bless your stinking heart that you got there, but still connect. So that's the first step that I'll always tell my salespeople, my sales leaders, the GMs, everybody at a hotel is the connection, and is going to make it's going to be the key.
Where do you find is the best spot to get that information about what's happening? Because there has been a lot of layoffs and furloughs, not just in hospitality, but everywhere. So where do you usually go to source that information?
I'm a little bit of a cyber stalker. So if I have really good connections and I'm going through, my top accounts, top market segments, and I go through and I'm pulling up my list and the contacts, I'm going to go to the contact. Probably LinkedIn's my first stop. I'm going to go there. I'm going to read. It's going to say amazing hospitality leader with no company. Pretty much can figure they've been laid off. So I'm going to reach out and just say, hey, sorry to see that, you're laid off, just an encouraging message. If they're still there, great. I might then, if I don't get a whole lot of information, I might jump online and look at Facebook, Instagram, kind of the creepy stalker online type of situation, but try to get as much information before I talk to them to know where they're at. And they might be somebody that is holding the fort down and doing 15 people's job, and they're going outside their mind with being busy, and they don't need somebody calling up and having a 15-minute chat about the normal things that we would do as salespeople.
And what kind of cadence do you find with communicating during this time is appropriate? Like, is it monthly check-ins, weekly? What would you recommend?
So that's kind of up to the customer. If they're still bringing in business, a more regular touching base, even in gathering information, how safe are your travelers feeling? Do they feel like, everything's sanitized and they're comfortable? Who else? Okay, here's the key though too. Every time you talk to somebody, the forgotten question always is who else might be traveling or might have travel needs or any questions in between. You've got to be that information holder. But coming back to frequency, that's what salespeople, the great salespeople, we just innately know what our customers need. They need us to back off. That's fine. I'm going to try to do probably something regular. If it's a client that you can tell things are just evolving quickly, I'm going to probably make it a little bit more the 3 to 4 week. I don't like to go to, I don't like actually to go to a month. I like that 3 week mark because things change so quickly. But then you switch it up. You might call them. You might do, a myriad of other things, but yeah, regular. And yeah, that's a great point.
No, I agree. Like, it's important to stay top of mind while also respecting what's happening in the world. So you do want to send up-to-date information on your property, any measures you're doing to keep everyone safe. It lets your clients know that you're taking this very seriously, but you also want to be in their minds, top of mind there. Yeah.
Absolutely.
I also think it's really important to show compassion and flexibility during this time. Clients are going to remember the businesses that were able to accommodate their needs during COVID. While it might hurt your bottom line today, it will build your business for the future. I remember when I worked for Lululemon, we went through see-through pants. I don't know if you heard of that, but all our black pants were see-through. And we started off only taking pants from the time it was from that shipment date, and everyone was getting really frustrated because they had perceived, damaged pants. So we just scrapped that idea and started taking back all the pants. And while Lululemon stock dropped significantly that year, it's now triple what it was today. So I do think short-term pain for long-term gain is kind of the name of what we have to be doing in this world.
And don't wear see-through pants on sales calls. That would be good.
Might be a good return.
I know. It depends on the client, what the client needs. Oh, that's funny. But I totally agree. I'm seeing, and to me, really smart management companies and operations that tie into sales. There are some management companies or operational leaders that don't quite understand sales. They think that we're there if, we dip, then they're like, hey, go find some business. And they don't really understand that sales is about the 3-month mark and out. We're looking at the future. Revenue management and operations are really that 1 to 3, the 0 actually to 3-month window, because we're just sifting through the business we want. And that's not proactively selling. It's hard to get those. So the people that are being really strategic, those operation leaders, those management companies, are getting the salespeople and the sales teams going now. They want them out. They're going to, and to your point, it might cost a little bit more money to reserve a little bit more time. They might still have to work the front desk a little bit, but pulling back just a bit more, a shift more, costs a little bit. But the people that are out selling, they are going to be the ones that are ahead of the curve when we get out and it's really starting to swing. Usually probably the vaccine or however this plays out. When it gets cooking, the people that have strategically started to sell when it's hard will be ahead when it's a little bit easier. Then it's going to make it harder on everybody else because you're taking all their business and we're rolling in money. That's the good part. Yeah. We can buy everybody see-through pants. It's a party.
They fixed that problem, which is why their stock's so high today.
That's no,
I completely agree. So now, I think one of the hardest things that a lot of salespeople are dealing with is not just maintaining their current customer base, but also prospecting and building their pipelines for new business in that 3 to 6 month period. So usually in the past, like when I was at Best Western, my leads were coming in pretty steadily. I didn't have to do a lot of cold calling. I didn't really have to do a lot of prospecting. Business just came in. I mean, tourism in Vancouver was out of control, so it made my job a lot easier. So what should salespeople be looking to do now to actively prospect for new business while respecting what's going on in the world?
Yeah, and that's jumping back to the beginning. That's where the creative, really intuitive directors of sales, they're going to really succeed and pull away from those that are kind of desk jockeys. They're waiting for those leads to come in because those leads have really slowed down, especially the group leads. Slowed down considerably. So those that are used to sitting behind the desk are really finding themselves as kind of a fish out of the water. But now we have to go, and I was thinking about this too for a while now that it got slow, and we really kind of need to get back to where it was. I mean, handwritten notes to the customers, text to your customers. And I know I'm talking about existing customers and I'll get to the prospecting part, I promise. But finding different ways to contact them, unique ways, things that stand out. Now the prospecting part, that is lobby lizard to the 3 people that are coming in, but it's asking the question, who else? Knowing your market segment, who's coming into your area, and talking to the people and who else. So that's one of the main things. Cyber stalking people, really knowing what companies are able to survive this because they might be a little bit more COVID proof, and what companies are really struggling, and what companies might be growing, in fact. So finding out there, and then you go into LinkedIn, you find out who the leaders are. And I've read a few articles that say don't sell on LinkedIn. You can if you're really careful. And what that is when you contact them saying, hey, we'd love to contact you. We're here. And to your point, you brought up letting them know what your hotel has done. Progress you've made in sterilization of room or cleanliness, what steps you've taken. And so it's a more informative contact, and you tell them what's going on and that you'd love their guests to stay, or how can you help, or kind of capturing that business on the back end. That's what I love about hospitality sales. It's not, you're not being a financial advisor or selling to where somebody might feel hooked. It's a conversation. How can I help you? We have a great place to stay. All your travelers need to stay somewhere. You might as well stay with us. So prospecting has gotten to more of a conversational type activity, but a lot of homework before that, and understanding kind of the direction your community is going and the businesses are going.
And so once you've made that initial contact and have built a bit of that rapport, how do you start to showcase your property? Because site visits right now are not going to be happening. I mean, people are nervous, especially if they're looking to book something in, say, 2021, which I do think people should be planning that far in advance right now, because that's where people are feeling more safe.
Right, I agree.
Where do you see site visits going through all of this?
So there's an interesting one as well. You could still have, for those that are okay with, now depending on geographically what phase you're in, if everybody's still shut in or if you can kind of get out. But most of the brands have logoed face masks. So to invite somebody down to say, I'd really love you to feel how safe and how sterile and how clean our hotel is, which is kind of drawing them in. And then when they get there, give them a hand sanitizer, give them a mask, you know, give them the stuff that you're using. And then you can, you know, showcase that this is what our front desk wears, our housekeepers, get them in part of the process. So site visits can still happen in a lot of areas through taking the customer through the experience of how you've made the hotel better. For those that maybe are a little bit more nervous about getting out, Zoom call. You know, hey, let me walk you through, and you have a little camera, you walk through, and you really, again, just make it a social experience where you go and you talk to your GM. You pull the camera across, you do a little selfie thing, introduce them, your housekeeper, walk them through rooms, that sort of thing. You could also do little video snippets. And that's another way of actually prospecting that I was thinking of. A lot of customers now, our clients, are working 24/7 from home. They have the email open constantly. They're probably on constant conference calls, and they're inundated. Why not make a little video saying, hey, Sally, sure do miss you. Here's our hotel. Here's little things that are happening. Make it 3 to 5 minutes long. Just say you miss them, and send it to them. Doesn't take a lot of time. Doesn't take a lot of technical abilities, especially with our smartphones. How you can just go into an app and make a video, post it, YouTube, post it statically, send it off to them. So site visits, there really are quite a few ways, but I would recommend trying to get them in so that they can feel the safety and the sanitation and the measures you've taken at the hotel itself.
Yeah, for sure, that's really smart. And then you get your brand out there too if you have branded masks, sanitizer.
Right.
Yeah. So we're seeing predictions right now that domestic revenge travel is going to come back first. And we've seen that a little bit happening in the United States and in Europe, actually, followed by transient business travel. Group business, we're not really expecting to see that until 2021. And that totally also depends on what's going to be happening in the world. I know I'm in Vancouver right now, and we thought we were safe, and we're seeing a bit more of COVID coming back, so we might be regressing. So what are some ways that salespeople can prospect specifically for that transient business travel and get those LNR agreements above the competition?
Yeah, I love the term revenge travel. That's amazing. I haven't heard it, and now I have, and it's stuck in my head. You could, I guess, call it rebellious traveling as well. But yeah, that's what they're saying is going to be the first market, or already is the first market coming back. But it's going to be a lot more localized. It's going to be the day trips, the weekend trips. It's not going to be, people typically flying to anywhere, that's a destination. So they're going to be really careful because they can control the drive. They're unfortunately packed like sardines in with your family, and so you got noise canceling headphones and everything. But they can get there, they can self-contain, they can go as a unit, and they really don't have to worry about outside influences other than the hotel. But I think we got that covered for most people, and they're going to leave. So prospecting those is a lot about e-commerce right now, building a package, what you have when you get here, feeder cities, what is around you, probably, I don't know, depends on where you're at, but it could be a 200-mile radius. That might be too large, 120-mile radius. Depends on, in the Western United States, where I've lived before, we're used to traveling 5 to 7 hours. Now I live in the Eastern United States, and it seems like a 30-minute drive is a big old heartache because everything seems to be a lot more compressed. So find what that right radius is, and it's trying to get out to families and doing e-commerce, getting on those travel sites. To your point of, you might have to spend a little money to be a sponsored ad, or and get up on those search engines. With corporate clients that are having to travel right now and going, parking lot shops are great. It's now shifting share from the competition. So knowing who's staying and coming and pulling them over. Again, you got to know who's coming, and you got to know what companies are still traveling, but moving them over, because it's harder to find those customers because occupancies are so low. I mean, I'm seeing people celebrate 55% occupancy, like, woo, we're back, and we're halfway. But then there are the hotels that are lucky enough to be either beachfront or something, and then we go to revenge travel to where their occupancies are a lot higher. So being out, being seen, e-commerce is probably going to be the first stop, especially with that type of social travel. And then as we get to the corporate travel, it is going to be that sneaky, strategic shifting of clients and guests from the corporate standpoint. So those, I think, would be the two main things to concentrate on there.
Yeah, no, it's really smart. It's almost going back to a little bit of the old school way of prospecting before the industry took off, where it was, drive-bys, looking at parking lots, and strategically getting the competition's corporate clients.
If you're near an airport, though, you can. There are reports that show where most of the people are coming to. The volume of people coming from LAX, and landing in the BOI, or they're what the feeder cities are. So if you're near an airport, that's invaluable information right now, because then you can kind of break down, because you're knowing what the community is doing, of where they're coming from, and then we can do targeted ads for those.
Yeah, true. So I guess the final question is, what is the future? What are you seeing is the future of hotel sales?
Future of hotel sales itself is sales is always sales. It's about connection, and we've gone through all of that, but it's changed in the situation. We've got to be sensitive to what's going on, with our health, politically, everything seems a little bit topsy-turvy. Again, just like at the hotel where you're the cheerleader, you're the personality there, everybody needs a little ray of sunshine. You need to be that ray of sunshine. You need to be that energy, that 5 minutes of a breath in the day that people enjoy that interaction. Don't make it awkward. Don't make it weird. Don't push sales, because sometimes you just can't. Just connect, and that's at the basis of sales. That's what sales is. It's just pure love of customers and your product, which is why I love hospitality. 2, polishing up the crystal ball of who you're going after. We've kind of talked about that revenge travel, that social. What I'm finding out is the economy brands, the mid-scale brands are probably going to be the first ones to recover. A little bit of a surprise to me, the independent branded hotels are also going to be on the upward curve with the economy and mid-scale of recovering. Also, your extended stay, which has stayed relatively constant. They didn't experience the huge dip. They've gone down, but they're going to continue to perform really well. The convention centers, the full service hotels are unfortunately, they're going to be probably one of the last to recover from travel, because now if you have a company that has gone scaled back in employees, you obviously are watching costs, and so they're not going to pay for this elaborate full-scale hotel when they're trying to save money. So they're going to send you to a little bit more of a mid-scale or economy is what they're going to expect. We don't know, obviously. We're optimistic, but I'm optimistic that first quarter we will really start seeing an uptick in travel, again, socially first, but then we're going to see a lot more corporate people, because we've done budgets through 2020 and we've probably scaled it all the way back to the end of the year. And the strategic companies that are a little bit more optimistic as well probably have put a placeholder Q1 for a little bit more activity for those that need to travel, those experiences. So you're going to see an uptick. You're going to see an uptick of corporate travel, a little bit more transient group. The people that want to do a group also really want to stay safe. And there are some events that I've seen that are doing social distancing groups. Fantastic. That's awesome. I love the groups that are going to travel. Probably not going to see a whole lot until Q3, Q4, back half of 2021 is when I would expect a lot of the very careful group planners to start really planning their events out then. Conventions, I don't know conventions. I think they're going to be one of the last to recover as well. Things that the trade shows where you're doing networking functions and it's built around a lot of people talking and really connecting. I can't see that coming back very soon unless optimistically we have a great turnaround.
Yeah, and I think we all know that we're going to see an increase in competition too in the next 2 to 3 years. So I think one of the biggest things is hotels are going to have to find something that differentiates themselves from the competition. But I don't think that should be discouraging. Like Hilton started during the Spanish flu, and look where Hilton was before all this started. I don't know. I see this is more of the startup tech person in me, but I do see disruptions to the current status quo as an opportunity for innovation and creativity. So I do think there there are ways that we can be creative in our hotel sales that can appeal to the public. One of my girlfriends owns a venue, but this could work for hotels where they're doing COVID weddings for brides. So under 25 people, just so they can have their wedding, and then they're booking them a year in advance to have their reception. And they're starting to see bookings increase. So just finding creative ways that you can utilize your business to bring people in, but keep them safe. There's a lot of room for creativity there. Yeah.
Absolutely. And to that point, I've had some colleagues as well host wedding celebrations. They've already had the wedding. It happened during COVID. You know, it had to be in the backyard. You know, everything was kind of there, but love will go on, right? And so they get married, but they want to have that celebration. So as things loosen up a little bit and they're able to meet, you know, 50 in a gathering, they're able to book these wedding celebrations. So looking back on the ones that maybe have booked a wedding and the wedding block fell apart, maybe contacting them and seeing if they have ideas for doing something like that, or giving them the idea to do that as well. So some might be convincing the groups that they still can hold their event, but it's going to be a little bit different, a little more creative. But I really think if we can create a space of as much normalcy as we can, that's what everybody's looking for. They are optimistic. They want to get out. They want life to go on just the way it was, or even better, of course. So if you can still do site visits and bring them in and just show them and have that interaction, although you might still, you know, the social distancing. I mean, you could have fun with that. Give them a tape measure. Wear the bubbles. I don't know. Do fun things that, you know, engage your clients. Come in, make a PVC pipe skirt that's 3 foot. Theirs is 3 foot. That way you don't run into each other or whatever. But it's about that, like I said, that breath of fresh air. It's, okay, I don't have to be high stress right here. You just showing me the hotel. Let's go through this. So our job is really, again, to bring a little bit of excitement. People love creativity. They love the corny stuff. Be corny. It's okay. You know, I get so many, again, I'm going to pick on operational people. I get so many eye rolls. And the more eye rolls I get, the better idea I know it is. Because I'm going to go out and give them a bag of popcorn and say, I hope you pop in. You know, just some of that just really super corny stuff. But it works. And it works because the client gets to take it. It's just a little bit of a brain break and quiet their mind and just have an interaction.
Yeah, no, for sure. And they remember you.
Yeah, absolutely. And the cornier the better, because then they're like, they'll shake their head too, and I can't believe it. And you're just like, well, believe it, because there's more coming.
Okay, so let's jump into a couple questions. I'll give it a few minutes, and then we'll probably end on time today.
Hey, look at that.
So I have one here. What programs do you recommend using for prospecting?
For prospecting, so I'm going back to LinkedIn. Google's a favorite of mine when it comes to that sort of thing. You have, of course, you have Hoover's. But what I'm going to do is I'm really going to jump into, I'll type a company name again in LinkedIn, and everybody that has that in their description of work, they're going to populate. So I'm going to sort those, and I'm going to go through and figure, okay, it's a corporation, so acquisitions, you're going to have human resources, maybe they're still hiring and recruiting. So I'm going to then pull that to the side and segment that about who is doing what. And they sometimes have contact information. They usually have an email, if not direct message. And then I'm going to pop over, usually to a social site, to see if I can find something personal about them. They might be sitting and, they have a picture of their family. You get to know them a little bit so that when you connect, however you connect, you're doing that. So that has really been my favorite thing, I think, to do right now, because everybody has the chance to update their profiles. Everybody's on LinkedIn a little bit more. You have more information online right now than I think we have in a while, because people have the time and people are trying to get out there online. So digging that way, I start with LinkedIn, and man, if you don't have a couple weeks of work, then you're probably doing it wrong. Really dig into that.
Okay, here's another one. How do you try to redirect or gracefully end the conversation when you can tell that the prospect is not interested? So kind of how do you get out of a awkward combo?
How do you get out of the awkward? And sales is all about your personality. I'm very comfortable in just calling it out and just saying, you know what, I can tell you're not into this. You're probably really busy, giving them the excuse, right? You're probably busy. You have 1,000 things on your mind. Just one more question, I'll let you go. Do you know anybody else that is traveling that might need a super safe, super sanitized, amazing hotel to stay at? Trying to get that, giving them an excuse to get away. You can tell it's not going good, call it out. It's okay. People are people, human are human. And you would, think about what you would want, how people would want to treat you, how you would want people to treat you. Do it the same way. Just use it. They're your friend, you hope, but treat them as your friend, even if they hate your guts. And that makes it a lot smoother.
Would you say it is okay to start going back to physically pop in to call on prospective clients now rather than phone calls, or should we be calling ahead to make appointments or see what their comfort level is with it?
I think popping in is a little bit dead for the moment. Unless you're really comfortable with your relationship. The problem with popping in is there have been a lot of company shifts of location. They've just redone their entire office now that they've done social distancing. So you're not going to be able to go into an office and hit him and him and her and him and her. It's going to be, you just don't kind of know where everybody's at. And if you don't know where people's comfort level is either, they might be, hey, I just miss hugging, let's hug. And you might have people that, aren't even comfortable 6 feet. They want 10 feet. They would just rather not have human interaction very much at all. So you can't really judge that on a pop in. I would call ahead. But yeah, that's a tricky one, but that's the most sensitive one that I would probably stay away from right now.
Well, and the other thing is a lot of people are working from home right now. So popping in, you might not run into the person that you were wanting to run into as well, or their office.
That would be a little stalky, right?
Yeah.
Showing up.
You pop in
hey,
at home, don't do that.
I know where you live. then you turn into creeper.
Yeah, and we don't want to do that. Okay, well, one last question. How many attempts should we make before we allow some time before trying again?
That's the fun thing about variety. If you keep calling and calling and calling, people are going to expect your call and they're going to screen you and they're never going to answer. But if you can call, leave a message, if they're an existing client, the colleague I talked to that was doing little video snippets, they're having quite a bit of fun with that and getting good feedback, because there is no interaction really, and the client's able to just sit there, enjoy for a second if you've done it right, and then hopefully they get back with you. So phone calls, emails, text if you have it, just hey, checking in, hope you're doing good. Send a video, handwritten card. We've forgotten how to write by hand, I swear. And a lot of companies are forwarding their emails to different people. So you might send it to the right address and they'll forward it to wherever that person is. So you have a lot of variety. So if you break it up on how you're trying to contact them, I think you're going to be able to do a regular, I mean, probably again, the 2 to 3 weeks. I like the 3 weeks. Maybe it's just because I'm odd, but hit them with a phone call, hit them with a handwritten note, hit them with a little video, snippet. Just couldn't get that word, but add some variety in so that you just don't come that monotonous, buggy type of person.
Yeah, and something that we found even at Event Temple is just checking in to see how people are doing rather than going right into sales mode. You get a quicker response and then you rebuild that rapport where it is more comfortable to jump back into sales conversation. So just kind of being respectful on where everyone is right now, just because it has impacted people so differently.
Yeah, and even asking them, is it okay that I check in? Really, I've enjoyed our relationship up to this point. I just want to check in, see how you're doing. Even if it's not a sales call, just to connect on a personal basis, see if, I can bring you a casserole. I don't know. Then you come creepy again. But just to touch base and be human.
Yeah, exactly. All right, perfect. Well, that's all the questions for today. So do you have any last words, Greg?
No, just that, well, I guess, yeah, because I said no and then I started talking, which is contradictory. Sales is amazing. Those that love sales are really genuine when it comes to selling. And that's the people that people love to be around. People do business with who they like and who they trust. And if you're that person, you're going to be that person that they come to and then they refer people to, and then you'll be ahead of the competition. But right now, just love people. Like I said, a lot of negativity, a lot of people on edge. If you can be that ray of sunshine, if you can just love people, kind of no matter what, then you will be the person that people are drawn to, again, for a little bit of normalcy, a breath of fresh air, and that they can just let their guard down a little bit and breathe.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. Well, thank you everyone for attending. We will send a recording out tomorrow morning, so you can have this for your records. And if you have any questions, you can respond to that email and I can forward them off to Greg as well. All right. Have a lovely day, everyone.
Thanks, you guys. Have a great day.
Bye.